Hello and welcome to another episode of Reminiscing with me, of course, Dr. Tony Rem. Today, we're going to do a little something different. We are going to bring in a guest that, someone I've been knowing for quite some time. Through the other shows, and if you've seen, it's just me and my wonderful AI co-host, but we will be bringing in guests periodically. Our guest today, Dr. Annie Green. Well, Dr. Annie Green and I have been knowing each other for about 15 years. She has brought me into a lot of different opportunities when she's been at George Mason, Georgetown, George Washington universities, and we collaborate on quite a bit of things. She's someone that I trust her opinion. She's very well versed in knowledge management and artificial intelligence and how companies use these technologies to the betterment of not only their organization, but also their employees. So at the end of the day, this is about AI and the future of work. I'll know a little bit more about Annie Green. Dr. Annie Green, we've been working together in the knowledge management and AI space, like I said, for a while. And Dr. Green was gracious enough to contribute to the chapter in my latest book, Essential Topics in Artificial Intelligence, on AI and the future of work, which is the basis of our conversation today. She is an international thought leader and professor in knowledge management and artificial intelligence. Dr. Green supports leadership and management in learning what they need to know to improve the health and performance of the organization. She focuses on optimizing business and IT alignment in the knowledge management, digital transformation, AI strategies, and change management. So she brings a wealth of information to this topic. Her latest book, which is available on Amazon, Diary of HI and AI, which is the nexus of human intelligence and artificial intelligence. Welcome, Dr. Green, to the show. I really appreciate you taking time to talk to me today and talk to our audience about AI and the future of work. So let's get started. There's a multitude of questions that I could ask of you and get your take on. When you think about AI and the future of work, what industries do you think will be most affected by AI, and how can they prepare for that?
In all honesty, I think all industries are affected because that's already been in place for quite some time. But I do believe that our top industries are health, education, and environmental. I think those probably would need to benefit more from it, certainly because I think our education system is not really aligned with the current dynamics of a digital transformation era. And also, I feel as though our health systems, there's so much information there that could collectively come together and give better insights into medical results and stuff like that. So I do believe that it will greatly improve those particular fields, but I think every industry right now is all affected by it.
I've read the World Economic Forum report on future of jobs, and it did indicate quite a bit of change in the future of jobs. So what new job opportunities do you think will emerge as a result of AI advancements, especially in our new Gen AI world?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because you kind of go back and forth with it. But one of the things that I've noticed throughout the evolution of artificial intelligence and even technology is that for some reason we tend to marginalize or minimize engineering. Okay, and engineering is actually developing the designs that we follow, and those are the models that we build upon, especially in business, because you have your processes that you need to understand that ties to your functional. So I really see that we're going to have to circle back. We have emphasized management so much, but my take on it is, how do you manage what you do not know? And if you have an engineer in it, then you don't know the components that you need to actually manage with the proper resources. So I think what is going to happen is we're going to have to revisit the systems engineering area, and I think that area is going to take a big lift on us actually being able to get through the transformation era. I think analysts are going to be very important because we're going to have to start thinking more in statistics and analytical areas, because this is a thinking area. But we have to be able to apply those statistics to whatever our disciplines are, because artificial intelligence is not a thing in and of itself. It is part of a system that we are actually executing. So we need to see what that relationship is. And then I see other things such as auditors. In order for us to ensure that things are going properly, we're going to have auditors and quality in place. And on the front end, we're really going to have to be dependent on and having those experts that really understand how we function and how we work. And if we don't, then we cannot convey that down so that people are aware of what is right and what is wrong. So I mainly emphasize the engineering, because when you have an engineering or a schematic, that tells you what you have and what you can manage.
In my conversations, especially with computer science students in undergraduate programs, they are fearful fearful of, okay, will my job become obsolete, or what I'm studying become obsolete because AI is there to create code and do all these things. And so what I emphasize is what you just mentioned, is that they have to become subject matter experts in the programming field. And so when AI does produce code, we need folks that understand the code so well they can pinpoint where there may be problems that could be adjusted, or the code can be optimized better for the environment. So I think that, to your point, I think it's going to shift into more subject matter experts in those particular fields that AI is really entrenched. And I think that AI working with humans will be the catalyst on how we move forward. And I think that's what you alluded to as well.
Absolutely. We have to coexist with it, but we also have to realize that we're the person who's operating the ship. We cannot let AI or computers take over for what we need to do. And I think that's part of what some of the problem is, the training. And we're going to need trainers also. We're going to need coaches. People don't realize that they're trusting AI as an expert, but yet they don't really trust the human as an expert. And that's a problem, because AI is built by a human. So that's exactly what I say to them. And people who say they're going to lose their job, it's like, no. You know your job so that you can be in the position of an expert, and AI works for you.
What I've saw reading the World Economic Forum report on future jobs is that, as you know, some of the lower level jobs AI is going to replace, that those mundane routine tasks. We have folks that, like you said, work at a much higher level to manage those quote unquote AI agents to do the job that we expect them to do. I think that is super important to realize.
That is super important, and that's why we need to have the education system actually come back in and balance that. We're not going to not be teaching people things. We're going to be teaching them how to ensure that what needs to be done is being done by an automated application. But here, I just want to put in something, and perhaps as an example, like you said, artificial intelligence comes on, it's this umbrella, and I think it's caused confusion because I look at it as there's two pieces, automated and augmented, okay? And automated is something like when you do like the ATM, the teller machine, okay? You're automating the transactions of a teller, but you also got to think about what the teller still has to do, or somebody has to do. And a lot of people don't withdraw anymore because they forgot about the augmented point of the teller having to ask for the ID to verify that it was the same person who was on the account that was getting the money out. So those are things that we need to see so that we can make certain that we have accommodated those within our structures.
That's a great example. From your perspective, how will AI-powered automation change the nature of work, and what are the potential benefits and drawbacks? As we automate things that we're doing, what are some potential drawbacks to that?
If it's done properly, I really don't see any drawbacks. I see benefits based on what we have just said. If it is something that we're doing that's mundane and routine, so therefore it is exact, we know the outcome and we should be able to evaluate the outcome. So if that is automated, then we can then work on other areas that will help us do things, or put more effort into things, or do things quicker, or something like that. Then that's why it's not necessarily artificial intelligence. It's actually human intelligence that has been logically coded within a app or system. So that works. But here's where we kind of fall at. An example, even ChatGPT. That is like, it's a tool. So what happens is, I know when I do research, I have to go out and source. I have to get all of these sources to justify the things that I'm trying to put into this paper or this book. And with the sourcing of it, ChatGPT is wonderful because I can give it specific information and it goes out and it brings me these sources. That does not eliminate me from reading those resources and then writing the book. Now, if I want to be able to write it a little differently, I might lean on it again. But it is not there to write the paper for me. What I've done is, as a tool, I am automating my sourcing of my resources such that the paper will be credible.
I think that's a good lesson for others using generative AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Bard, and so on, to take that same perspective. Instead of it doesn't write the paper for you, it assists you in doing the things that you need to do to make sure it's done in your tone and voice and your perspective. That's a great lesson out there for everybody to pick up.
So the automation are those routine and mundane tasks that we need to do. And then the rest is augmented. You lean on your intelligence and your expertise to complete the task.
The one thing that comes to mind when we talk about AI and the future of work is the perspective of reskilling and upskilling. Because, as you know, with any new technology, any move in the industrialization of a country or phase within what we're experiencing with AI, it comes with the loss of some jobs and the addition of new jobs. And so there has to be a plan in place for reskilling and upskilling. What is your perspective on that?
Again, I think that goes back to the engineering again and understanding what the components are and then what the resources are required for those components. I think that you may lose some jobs, some will be displaced, and again, some have to be upskilled and reskilled. Like for example, if most of the routine tasks are automated, then like you said, people need to become experts in the field so that they can then audit and make certain, or they can perform quality against it. So they become quality engineers or they become quality managers to make certain that things. All of this stuff that if we just thought about the role of that person in that process, we could upskill or reskill them as opposed to displace them and then eliminate the position.
Brings to mind when we have information architects work in the AI space, and some of what AI is doing is placing some of those duties. However, the librarian has such a fantastic skill set that aligns really well with information architect, and which aligns very well to data creation and preparation for AI algorithms, is that now you can see that shift in that position and see where you have to upskill and reskill to fit in the new AI paradigm, be moving forward more AI-centric type of work. So that is a great example, understanding that lineage between the different positions, and as they evolve into a more AI-specific world, and you can see how they still be better equipped to do what we need to do, get done. So again, as automation continues to evolve, AI evolves, jobs evolve, we have to keep that, what I call human in the loop, that person understanding the management, understanding that, hey, don't look so quickly to replace someone, and that low-hanging fruit ROI, because that may not be the ROI at the end of the day, because you still need that person, that subject matter expert, just need to retrain them and reskill them to do the new AI job.
And then, like you said, also look at the total cost of the replacement. It's not just the person. I'll go back to that teller since I used that as an example. When you want to replace the teller and then you have an automated teller machine, it is not going to sustain itself. It is going to require maintenance. It's going to require additional resources to do that. And so now you have a resource that's an engineer who's paid higher than the teller. And so what have you done? So you got to look at that. And it might have been something that, like you said, the teller, because they wind up having to keep them, could have been upskilled in that area and been able to do both. So you really got to look at the total cost of your insertions of technology into your processes.
The other thing I want to touch on is what you mentioned is at the end of the day, and this is aligning with the AI and the future of work, how AI governance comes into play. And that is a new job that is becoming more and more important within the AI ecosystem. So what is your view on AI governance and how those jobs are essential for the evolving AI marketplace?
Governance is governance, and governance needs to be above everything. Even like, and I'll back down for a second, even with AI governance. AI governance may not be as effective if you don't have governance over its pieces, because the biggest contributor to AI is data, okay? So everybody did data governance, and this is one of my biggest arguments. Everybody's doing this data governance, but once again, no one does data management. What are the components of data management? Because if you don't understand and have those engineered, then you will never be able to govern it because you don't understand what the pieces are. So therefore, to me, governance is critical across all areas, but you cannot stifle people with governance. Governance has to be realistic for the best interest of the organization or the entity that is being monitored. I think AI governance is critical, and I think the main driver behind AI governance right now is ethical and moral reasons. But those have been what's in governance all along, so why do we keep reinventing?
Yeah, it's like the AI is going to put that on steroids.
Right.
It's going to really magnify that.
Absolutely.
If you have it, if you don't.
Yeah, but you haven't put that into the structure of data, so anybody can get anybody's data, but yet you can have AI governance when you've already exposed all sensitive data out in the field, and there's so many breaches out there now. How do you pull it out? Mm-hmm.
And you know what, Annie, what I'm seeing as well is that AI governance, data is the key, understanding that, and then also aligning with the cybersecurity needs, which you mentioned, all these data breaches and things of that nature. It goes back down to the data, understanding all aspects of data privacy, data lineage, data protection, all of that as it goes into more of the AI usage. But then the cybersecurity and the policies for cybersecurity also have to align or mesh with that and elevate elevate how the data is actually being protected.
Absolutely, including identity access management, which they've been trying for I don't know how many years to put into place. But all of that comes from a strong data architecture, okay? Because the data actually ties to the software, the data actually ties to the network, the data actually ties. You can know all of that if you build that. And guess what data architecture is? It is part of data management.
And that becomes even more prevalent in the AI space.
You got it.
Right. And that is another job, another career that is evolving so people coming into the field have to understand how AI is affecting that and how AI aligns with that to understand where AI is being used and how to use it effectively. So again, just like you brought up with the engineer and brought up with how at the beginning of our conversation, how AI affects all industries and all aspects of industries. And so you will have to, the new folks coming around to this will have to be also understanding of how AI is affecting their work, their job, their industry, their company. So I'm going to get you to talk about more about what you're doing. I know you're doing a lot of great things besides your book, which is fantastic. I had the opportunity to read an advanced copy and write a foreword to the book. Very impressed. I love your take on how you align mythology to the different aspects of the book. So tell the audience more about what you've been doing and things to look forward to from Dr. Andy Green.
The book was kind of my kickoff of where I'm headed now. I want to drive education through AI, and I also want to uplift engineering and data within HI so that we can get these structures right. And that's part of being able to help organizations understand the health of the organization in the particular areas. So, I bring forward a new paradigm. People used to always look at this triangle that says you go from data to information to knowledge to wisdom, right? You got to start with data, and we got to understand what the data is. Then we go to information because data is raw. And that's why, like even in my book, I point out with representation, and especially with things like when people say chat box can start thinking on their own. And I'm like, all it takes is one space in a pixel within a raw data that it will change what it's saying. So then it begins to do gibberish if someone doesn't understand that structure has changed, okay? So I would like to see people engage data that moves up to information, which makes it more objective and more meaningful. So it brings in meaning. And then take it to intelligence, which is where you actually take those things and you cross-pollinate them so you can see where different trends and patterns and things are happening that can get knowledge to you. So you see now we're going to knowledge, and then at the top part, instead of saying wisdom, because wisdom is part of experience and work and life learning. And so when you get up to that point, it's cognition. You have awareness. So that's what we've always been working toward. Even when we look at things like situational awareness, we want to be aware so that we can start looking at things and then grow them out. So with that, I'm actually doing probably some contracting work and building out my two models. I have two models. One is a framework of intangible valuation areas, these are what represent the vitals within an organization. These are areas where we need to see the value so that we can determine which direction to go in when we go for improvement in the processes. So that's the one area. And then I also have, which I use and I've built out since my dissertation, I built an engine, and it's interesting because everything that we're talking about now is actually part of that, even all the agents and everything. So these new terms that everyone is saying are new aren't really new. They've been there. It's just that we went in different directions and we forgot that we had to integrate these pieces. So it is actually BRAIN. So it's business, reasoning, analytics, and intelligence network. And that network is what I'm talking about, where you build that structure so that all of these are integrated together. And the reason that is so important is because even through all of this and looking at the values, intangible assets represent over 90% of the value of an organization, where tangible, which is the basic accounting and money, only represents 10%. So we need to get a good picture of the accountability of those intangible assets. So that's where BRAIN, and it all bubbles up into a product that I call May. And May is actually my artificial enterprise. So that would be the driver of accounting for intangible assets within an organization.
Like I said, we've been knowing each other for a while. I've had the privilege of speaking at your courses at George Mason, George Washington, universities, and what you're doing is fantastic. And I would encourage everyone listening to this podcast episode to get more information about you, look you up, get your books, dive into that understanding, and just be intentional about learning AI, especially in the fields that you are focused on, and understanding how your organization or future organization that you want to be employed at is using AI, and be knowledgeable from that perspective as well, so you can elevate your job opportunities within the field of your choosing and the company that you end up being employed at.
The book Diary of HI and Artificial Intelligence, The Nexus for Human Intelligence and Artificial Intelligence. It's an interesting read, and I want to say it's not just technical, because I don't want people to think that, you see this and it's very technical. The intent of that book is to bring in a different perspective and to open the mind so we begin to realize that the human is still very valuable in this artificial intelligence era, and that we need to recognize our value, and we also need to understand how we fit in. So, like Tony said, I use mythology as a common sense approach to get certain points in, and then what I do is I do use some technical words, because in order for us to understand what it is, we got to know the words that we're hearing so we can understand how they fit in. And then I give the strong message at the end of each chapter that kind of sums it back up and gives you thought, make you think about what's going on. And then in the back of the book, I also have 10 mantras for having a digital mindset, because we have to change our mindsets right now about AI. So the book is for everyone, so I hope that you'll take a chance or a risk and read it and see if it will give you the outcome that I'm looking for.
Well, thanks, Annie. I appreciate your time. And I'm going to leave this session with one thought. It kind of encapsulates what we've been talking about. The future of work is a skills race between humans and machines. And the societies that thrive will be those that embrace augmentation over replacement, inclusivity over exclusion, and continuous learning over static expertise. Remember, the future is now.